Hey everyone, so in this video I'm going to be making a fun dress, and the pattern I'm going to be using is a true vintage pattern from the 70s. So this is the pattern I'm going to be using. As you can see, it is a pretty simple design. It's got some straps in the front and then they cross over in the back. I don't know if you can tell based on this technical drawing, but they actually button up at the back, crossed over on either side of the zipper. So I got this pattern on Etsy. I thought it was really cute. I like the lines of it, and I just thought it would make a really cute summer dress and top because there is a top version of it. And speaking of which, I actually have already made a practice version of this in the same fabric of the shirt that I'm wearing right now. Here it is. It's hard to tell because I'm not wearing it. I might insert some footage of me wearing this one though, but I'll do that a little bit later. So yeah, you've got a gathered panel right at the front, and then these straps that tie around the back. And here's the back. And the straps cross over and buttons the facing in the back. It's hard to tell. So this is my first time making a vintage pattern. I traced off all the pieces instead of cutting into because this pattern was factory folded and uncut, so I didn't want to mess with that at all, so I just unfolded it and traced it, which is something I normally do for any hard copy of a pattern that I have, because I don't want to have to worry about messing it up. If I have a digital copy of a pattern, I'm fine with cutting into it, but for a physical, if this is the only copy I have, I'm not gonna touch it. Yeah, so that's basically about that. And the size I got was 12 to 14. Usually in vintage patterns they come in like one size, and this one actually comes, I think it's just like small, medium, large, and I'm glad I got the medium, even though I technically fit into the large size range, like in the lower end of the large. Like my measurements are pretty much exactly in the large range right here. So yeah, I'm kind of glad that I got the medium because I guess they have a lot of ease in the patterns, kind of like a lot of the big four patterns do now. I guess that was also true back then. So I did end up taking in the sides a little bit for this, which might not be totally necessary because it's not like it's completely strapless, but I just felt more comfortable with it being a little bit closer to my body with less ease than was intended. And I made that modification to my traced out pattern pieces for my actual version. So I haven't actually talked about my actual version, and I'm going to be using this cute, I guess it's like a daisy print purple fabric. I've already cut out my pieces in case you couldn't tell by this tiny little piece that I have here. And originally I was just going to do the basic version kind of like that because on the pattern it does have some suggestions for some trimmings that will be used. Like I think, let me double check. Yeah, so this one has rickrack, this one's got like some crochet trim, this one has just some standard lace trim. And I originally wasn't planning on using any trim online because that's not really something I normally go for, but I thought it actually could be fun to do for this project because I kind of like the Gunny Sacks sort of inspiration of using a little bit of frilly designs on it. So I think I'm going to go for it. And I'm going to do something, I guess, sort of similar to this one in that I don't want it to be, this one has lace and like a line of grosgrain ribbon or something around to cover up the edges of the lace, but I like the way this one looks a little bit better, so I'm going to do that. And the length I'm making is this one. So I'm making the standard length dress, and I'm adding some of that lace trim. Now I did look for some trim that I could possibly buy, and use, but I was actually looking at my sewing machine, and there's so many different like decorative stitches that I never ever use, and I thought it could be fun to try out using some of them and seeing if I can make my own sort of eyelet embroidered trim for this project. I don't totally know how it'll turn out, so if it turns out badly, I can always just scrap that idea, but I thought it would be fun. I think what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to take a scrap piece of fabric and then try out a bunch of different stitches, a bunch of different combinations, and then I'll pick the one I like the best and I'll go with that. And what I'm going to do after that, I'm going to make a test strip and cut that out like I plan on doing later, and then I'll gather it up and see like what length or like what amount of gather I like, because I'm not totally sure what amount of gathering I want on my trim. Hopefully that makes some sense, but I will be walking through these parts step by step as I do them, so if it doesn't make sense that with my explanation, hopefully the visual will be helpful. Yeah, so that's pretty much it. I have all my other pattern pieces cut out, and I won't be showing that, but I will be showing this fun part of using my decorative stitches on my machine to make some trim for this dress. And next time I think you'll be seeing me do some test drives of my decorative stitches. Talk to you later. Bye! So here I am testing out some of the stitches that are available on my sewing machine. I tried out quite a few. I'm pretty sure I tried out maybe around a dozen, maybe a little less than that. But I wanted to have one stitch that sort of curved that I could trim along so I wouldn't have a raw edge. And then I wanted to have another stitch that would go on the actual fabric side that would be more decorative. Here's some of the curved stitches that I have. I ended up picking this one that had like 3 sections, and then this flower style stitch. Here's kind of an example of what it looks like. It's hard to tell because I had some other test stitches on there, but that's basically the idea. And now I am gathering down this piece to figure out how much of a ruffle I wanted. And I ended up needing it to be 1 1/5 longer than the actual end length. And here I'm calculating how much of the trim I'll need to go around the panel. And I do the same thing for the straps as well, I just didn't show it. I'm just measuring the sides of this piece and writing them down just so I can have a rough estimation of how much of this trim I'm actually going to need to make. And now I'm cutting out my plain cotton white fabric into these thin strips. I aired on the side of 2 wide, and then now I'm cutting out some water-soluble embroidery stabilizer that's the exact same dimensions as the fabric. If I didn't use this, it would look very weird and scrunched up on the stitches. And the way that I sewed this is I sewed the floral part first, that will go sort of in the middle, and then I sewed the scalloped edge afterwards, just so I could make sure it was more easily lined up the way I wanted. The floral stitch kind of moves it back and forward, so it's a little bit more difficult to get that one lined up exactly as you want. It looks pretty good. Here I am trimming out around the scalloped edges. It seems like this would be really tedious, but I thought it was kind of fun. I also trimmed off the excess stabilizer from the edge, just so as much of it was removed before I washed everything to get rid of the stabilizer. And this is after I washed it. I gathered it, and it washed out pretty cleanly. It wasn't stiff or, I don't know, strange in any way. It just felt like it did before, except without the stabilizer there. Water-soluble stabilizer is pretty magical. And here I am, pinning on the ruffle to the bottom edge of this front panel. And then sewing it on. This is the process that I followed for each edge. And I ended up having to sort of sew a mitered corner at each corner where the trim joined, but I didn't end up showing that in the video. And here's what it looks like with 3 sides done. As you can see, the little mitered corner. Hello everybody! So I finished this dress, as you can see, and I guess I'll just talk through how it went. So, I don't know if you can tell, but the fit of it is substantially better than the first version I made of this pattern, the sort of tunic style top. So that's great. I really like the fit of it. As for this trim, I'm not totally sold on how it looks actually on the dress. I do like the stitches I went with for this particular trim, but I actually think I may not end up wearing this quite as often as I would like with the trim on it. I think it's just a little bit high contrast with the dress itself, so I don't think I will end up wearing it as much with the trim as I would without it. So I think I am going to remove it. Unfortunately, I didn't follow the instructions for attaching it for the pattern, which would have been easier to remove because you do it after everything is sewn up. I put it in all the seams, so I would have to undo all the seams around here and remove it. The main thing I don't like is actually this panel. I think it just looks odd. I don't know why. It just looks strange to me. I actually like the way the straps look with the trim on. I think that's cute, but I'm not totally sure if I want to keep it. So I might end up just removing it just so it's simpler and I end up wearing it more. I think that's probably the safest bet for me. And I may end up just cutting new pieces of strap so I don't have to worry about unpicking and redoing it. Instead, I can just cut out a brand new piece and then it'll be much faster. As for this part, I don't think it should be too much of a hassle to redo it. It's like, you know, 4 sides of this little rhombus or whatever. So yeah. I also think probably partially the reason why it looks weird is because of the way I attached it, because it likes to, I don't know, flap around oddly. So I think I will update you all whenever I make those changes, but the fit of it I am very happy with, and I think the straps are so cute. Crossover in the back, I really like the way that looks, but again, I'm not sure that I'll wear it that often. I was planning on wearing it this weekend, and then I was like, I'm not gonna wear it. I just like decided not to wear it. So I think that's just because of this trim thing. I knew it was a little bit of a risk outside of my comfort zone. Sometimes that works out, sometimes it doesn't, but you just gotta take risks sometimes and see how it works out. Thankfully, I should be able to salvage the dress and make it look better, or not better, but make it be more like something that I would actually wear. The only thing that I really wasted was just a little bit of this like cotton fabric, and obviously my time because it was pretty time consuming to make the trim. But it was a good experience, it was a learning experience, and now I have so much water soluble like embroidery stabilizer that I can use for a bunch of different projects. I think even if I did like an embroidery edge around the hem, that would be cute. Like if I had used these stitches around the hem and cut that out instead, that would have been really cute. I could do that with a bunch of different things. So yeah, that's my thoughts, and yeah, I'll update you if and when I actually complete the sort of rehaul of this dress. Alright, bye! Okay, I am back, and I removed the little trim that I had around the, I guess, bib area of this dress, and also around the straps. So here's a peek at the back, what that looks like. And yeah, I'm done now. I'm really happy that I ended up taking off that trim because I think I'll just wear it a lot more frequently. It didn't end up taking too much time because I recut the straps, and the rest of it wasn't too bad because it was just these 4 seams essentially. So it didn't end up being too bad, and I think I will wear this dress much more than I would if it had the frilly trim on it. And I thought it looked cute, but I just don't think it would be something that I would reach for that often. So I'm happy with how this turned out now. I didn't really have much else to say. I just think this dress is super cute, and I'm very excited to try out a few more vintage patterns that I've picked up online over the past few months or so. There's been some really cute things. I have quite a few plans for some fun vintage sewing patterns, so I'm excited to share those with you all, in the next few months or weeks, depending on how long it takes me to get to them. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will talk to you another time. Bye!